and when you consider what $5 billion gets spent on these days. Was a lot of money then, but again, if you think back, the war was very unpopular. There was shame associated with the war. The vets, the GIs were not, service people were not welcomed back in many cases. So it was a war that America was very keen on forgetting, and so the aid was forgotten as part of this peace deal package worked out through the peace accords. And the GIs subsequently stayed. They were held and held and held. No financing or no aid came through, and so they stayed there. They were stuck. And my question is, looking through archives, I believe it was then Senator John Kerry who headed a commission that looked into the veracity or the truthfulness of these sightings by local Vietnamese people. And at least in one documentary that I've seen, it seemed that the commission headed by Senator John Kerry dismissed the sightings as unfounded or as mistaken. And the sightings, the matter of investigating these sightings was dropped. So nothing came forward. I believe that there was evidence. I believe that there was proof. I just think that it was politically inconvenient to recognize that these American service members were still alive in a hostile country, and that they were going to be held unless we did something. And as you know, we did nothing, nada. So my question is, I want to see the archives open, the records open. I want to see this evidence stirred through again. I want to see us, reputable delegations, service members, and forensic experts going over there, and we have a better relationship with Vietnam. With their cooperation, of course, revisit the sites where these sightings took place. I would love that the Vietnamese would cooperate and open up their records as to where these sites were, where these men were held, labor camps, and at least bring back remains to families and friends, well, families, the grandchildren, the nieces of these people that were forgotten and left behind. So that is my mystery that I would like to see cleared up by the U.S. government, by the Vietnamese government, so that we can have closure to this very painful chapter in the history of the Vietnam War. It was officially called a conflict, but it was indeed a war. We lost 50,000 people over there. That's killed, not to count the people who were wounded, who came back with disabilities, who suffered from Agent Orange, as well as the people in Vietnam trying to work with what was left of the agriculture. So, I await your call on your mystery, something that you would like to see clarified by declassification, or perhaps during this age of Aquarius, as the, I guess you would say, energy level or the vibration level of people is raised and there is greater understanding. I think we're at a stage where peace, two different kinds of peace are possible. A peace that comes from us and each one of us as individuals in a collective, and the other kind of peace which is also being pushed, not from, let's say, from another source, is one that is peace that is dictated from a central worldwide government that is not elected, but issues decrees, and thanks to technology, has the means to enforce compliance. So I think we have two different kinds of peace awaiting us in the next, I would say 5 to 10, maybe 20 years. Two different kinds of peace. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed and I'm praying that it is the peace that comes from each one of us, the peace during this enlightenment, this age of Aquarius, and not the peace that is dictated from a group of people that make decisions for us. So, let's see. Okay, we have a call. And I'm going to let this person in. Hello, you're on What Do You Think with Bill Morse.
We have a call.
Hello?
Yes, hi. You're on the air with Bill Morse on What Do You Think? Do you have a mystery that you would like to see clarified, either locally, nationally, or internationally?
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me all right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, what's your mystery?
Well, my question is kind of more basic, and I want to know, why does Bellows Falls still fluoridate their water when all the surrounding areas, as far as I can tell, do not, and only about 5% of the world fluoridates their water now. And when I did some research, there's some problems that fluoride, I know it's supposed to help your teeth and all that, but if you have it's very toxic, fluoride, and it causes birth defects, arthritis. It could potentially cause bone and uterine cancer, especially with children. This concerns me with their IQ. It can affect their IQ. It can cause ADHD in young children. They do tell you that you should, if you have children under a year, they shouldn't have any fluoride water. So I don't understand why we continue with this. And from the research, I mean, it may help a little bit, but overall, there's not a noticeable difference. And when most of the world doesn't use it, I'm wondering why we still do it here. Is it something that someone could tell me why, or is it something that they can change and help? Because it really affects children a lot. And this really worries me for the future of our kids in the community. And also, to a little more ethereal, on the pineal gland, if it's calcified, apparently, which it can be, fluoride is one of the causes of that. And so people don't sleep well. It connects you, if you believe it, with your intuition, and why wouldn't you want to expand on that? So it may not seem like a big deal, but it's important to me, and I think for the community. And I just thought, if there's anyone out there who knows about the water treatment or what's going on, maybe they could call in if they have the answer to that question.
Okay, very good. I understand your concern, and I have one or two questions to kind of contribute. From your research, do you know that whether or not pregnant women run a risk of, by drinking fluoridated water or using fluoridated products such as toothpaste? Has there been any scientific research or medical study that shows that the fluoride had an effect on the baby while during the 9 months of pregnancy?
Well, I do know from the reading that I've done, there are potentials for birth defects if fluoride is high concentrated. And here's the thing, fluoride is not just in the water. Fluoride is in soda. Fluoride is in bottled water, depending on what brand you buy. It's in other things. So cumulatively, it's in infant formula. From what I read, it's in supplements and vitamins. And so maybe they test the water here and they control the amount that they disperse through the community. But if you have children who drink other things or you drink other things, it potentially, if you're a mother, could potentially cause problems with birth defects. So I can't give you the exact numbers, but I know from reading that it does potentially cause problems.
Okay, very good. I was thinking of one product, toothpaste, and I
Yes.
know that there's a particular brand, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, Tom's of Maine. I'm not sure they use fluoride. I think they concentrate on using baking soda, which sounds like
Yeah.
a safer alternative. But
Well, you're.
please
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead. No, I was just going to say, I would advise people to look at the list of ingredients. I don't know if bottled water, if it has fluoride, if they're under regulations to list it as an ingredient or if it's just says water. It's a good question.
Yeah,
Next time I'm at the
That's a good
supermarket.
question. You're absolutely right about toothpaste. There is fluoride in most toothpaste, but you can buy Tom's.
Okay.
There's other brands that you can find that does not have fluoride in it.
Okay.
And what the problem is that it's in so many things that people don't even realize. And when you cook, let's say you want to make rice or something, you use water, right?
That's
Tap
true.
water, unless you can get a filter, and that's relatively inexpensive. That you
If
can
I may
filter
break
out
in
the
for a
fluoride,
minute, if I may break in
and you
for a
can use
minute.
that to cook with.
All right, I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
If I may break in, we have another call. I'm going to let them into our studio. Please hold on.
Do.
Yes, hi. You're on with Bill Morrison. What do you think?
Bill, how you doing? My name is Bill also, and I want to do a couple of questions. One, I missed last week. I couldn't get in last week
That's quite all right.
because of the
Right,
bot.
we were working
so
out some.
My question from last week is, you know the TV series, The National Treasures, all the episodes of The National Treasures
Yes,
with Nicolas Cage.
I do remember
are
that.
any of those are any of those true? And from our forefathers and the Masons, you know, I'd like to know if any of the parts of that National Treasures are true of all the stuff that they showed.
Can you give one example, Bill?
Well, you know, they went down into the bottom of the capitals and the Washington Monument and all that, and you know, they found different treasures and different things, and you know, are there things buried underneath our Capitol and things like that?
I would say yes, and only because the tunnel system beneath the Capitol and the White House has been in the news lately with the protests and the movement of people from one building to the other through this system of tunnels. It is my understanding that many of the government buildings in Washington, D.C. are connected underground through tunnels. So why not have vaults whereby, if anything, communications equipment or perhaps other items that are of defense interest to the very least would be kept? So I would say yes, there is a network of tunnels and probably vaults or chambers that are used for safeguarding items that are installations that are critical.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the second question, tonight's question was refresh my memory on tonight's question. If I could live anywhere, where would I want to live?
That is next week. This week
that
is
is next week.
Yes, yes. This week is if there was a mystery that you would like clarified, and you would like clarification on the underground network beneath Washington, D.C., and also the role of Masons in the formation and the continuance of the United States. Was that the other point?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
All right.
So
That is worthy of at least a half-hour discussion with yourself and other people. As far as the mystery is concerned, many people are not aware of the role Masons play in our society. If you look at a dollar bill, the pyramid, the triangle, the numerology in many in the layout of Washington, D.C., it's something I do not know a lot about. Other people do, and I think it's worth discussing because not only did it have do the Masons and other groups have an impact on the formation of our country through Washington, but they also have a hand in the banking industry, in the entertainment industry, and in many, I would say there's probably not one department in the U.S. government that, and also other governments in the UK, for example, that do not have a strong influence from Masons and other groups that are not out there in the public, so to speak.
all our forefathers.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
And the
all our
idea
forefathers.
was,
Okay.
and the idea was you were a group, you would help each other, especially if you're in a new situation, a new town, a new country, and you helped each other. It was a club, and we still have the club, and the club is still having a very strong impact on decisions.
Okay.
All right. So,
Very good.
thank you, Bill. And I believe how much time do we have? That's it. So, I'm going to say goodnight to both of you. And thank you for calling. And please stop by next Thursday at 6 o'clock. And the question will be, if you had the means to live somewhere else in the world, where would you live and why? Thank you for tuning in.